Ukraine's president just proposed replacing NATO with an expanded European Union that includes the UK, Turkey, and Norway. Zelenskyy stated in an interview with the Restispolitik podcast that if America withdraws from NATO, I'm quoting, European security will be based solely on the European Union, but not in its current form. The EU would need 4 specific countries to counter Russia's military: Britain, Ukraine, Turkey, and Norway. I'm quoting again. Together, the UK, Ukraine, and Turkey have armies that are stronger than Russia's army. Without Ukraine and Turkey, Europe can't match Russia, so this is not speculative planning, it's more a crisis response to America's systematic abandonment of European security commitments. I'm Elle, I have a PhD in computer science and I use data analysis to spot patterns in geopolitics and economics. Let's break down what this proposal signals about the collapse of the transatlantic security architecture. Start with a timeline that forced this shift. In December 2025, Zelenskyy officially abandoned Ukraine's constitutional pursuit of NATO membership. That represented a massive concession. Joining NATO had been enshrined in Ukraine's constitution as a safeguard against Russian aggression. Zelenskyy exchanged the NATO bid for bilateral security guarantees from the US, European countries, Canada, and Japan, essentially Article 5-like commitments without the actual alliance framework. He described it as a compromise forced by American and European opposition to Ukrainian membership. Then in March 2026, Trump halted all military aid to Ukraine. Intelligence sharing with Kyiv was suspended. The cooperation that had been critical for Ukraine's ability to strike strategic targets inside Russia. This followed what officials described as a shouting match between Trump and Zelenskyy. Trump's Undersecretary for Defense, Elbridge Colby, told NATO defense ministers that, I'm quoting, NATO 3.0 requires much greater efforts by our allies to step up and assume primary responsibility for the conventional defense of Europe. Translation in normal words, you're essentially on your own. Thread this with Trump's Iran war demands, by the way. America launched strikes without consulting any NATO allies, triggered the Strait of Hormuz closure, then demanded European warships deploy to clean up the mess. Every major ally refused. Germany stated this is not our war. Spain banned US military aircraft from its airspace. For the story and how dramatically that backfired for Trump, by the way, check the video on the Ruta dispute linked to the description below. And if we zoom out to the structural level, what's collapsing is the assumption that American security commitments are reliable. German Chancellor Merz stated in February 2026 that, I'm quoting, "The decades of the Pax Americana are largely over for us in Europe and for us in Germany as well." It's not anti-American rhetoric. It is literally Germany's leader, heading Europe's largest economy, by the way, publicly declaring the end of American security guarantees as a foundation for European defense planning. Zelensky's EU replacement proposal operates from this same reality. Russia is planning to expand its military to 2.5 million troops by 2030. Without a credible American commitment, Europe needs military mass that can deter or defeat that force. The current EU can't provide it for structural reasons. It includes 4 neutral countries for one, Austria, Cyprus, Ireland, Malta, that won't participate in collective defense. It also includes Hungary and Slovakia, which have actively blocked sanctions on Russia and reimbursements for arms sent to Ukraine. And critically, the EU doesn't include 3 countries essential for European defense: the UK, Norway, and Turkey. The UK brings nuclear weapons, naval power, and expeditionary military capability. Turkey controls the Black Sea choke points, fields the second largest army in NATO, and occupies strategic geography bridging Europe and the Middle East. Norway controls Arctic access and North Sea energy reserves. Ukraine, after 3 years of war, has what Zelenskyy accurately describes as Europe's largest and most battle-hardened land army. Combine those 4 with the core EU states, and you have the military architecture to balance Russia without American participation. For broader context on Europe's systematic move away from US frameworks, the playlist on European decoupling is linked below as well. Dozens of case studies documenting this exact pattern, but from different dimensions. It's really not theoretical anymore. The machinery is already being built. Europe replaced America as Ukraine's main donor in 2025. EU military aid to Ukraine rose 67% that year. The EU approved a €90 billion loan to Ukraine for 2026-2027, covering both military and budgetary support. The EU Safe Defence Fund, that stands for Security Action for Europe, offers member states up to €150 billion in loans for long-term rearmament, and Ukraine is participating in joint procurement despite not being an EU member. Denmark, the Netherlands, and Norway are funding weapons production directly inside Ukraine through what's called the Danish model. Major European defense contractors, Rheinmetall from Germany, BAE Systems from the UK, have established production hubs in Ukraine under the Build in Ukraine initiative. So it's not really aid, it's integration of Ukraine into Europe's defense industrial base while America withdraws. At the political level, a coalition of the willing has formed outside both EU and NATO structures. UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer convened an emergency meeting on March 2, 2026, following the Trump-Zelenskyy clash. The coalition includes 35 countries and organizations. NATO and the EU themselves are members, along with the UK, France, Germany, Poland, Nordic and Baltic states, Turkey, Norway, Canada, Japan, and Australia. Ukraine participates despite not being in NATO or the EU. America attends as an observer. The coalition is led by France and the UK, Europe's two nuclear powers. It has an embryonic operational command in Paris. The structure is deliberately designed around capability rather than bureaucracy. An inner core of Britain, France, and Germany, a second ring including Italy, Spain, and Poland, and Nordic and Baltic representation through Denmark or Finland. Here's where the nuclear dimension becomes critical. Europe has been vulnerable without the American nuclear umbrella facing Russia's arsenal, the world's largest nuclear stockpile by warhead count. But French President Emmanuel Macron has indicated willingness to discuss a more integrated European nuclear capability. Germany, a country with an extremely complex relationship to nuclear weapons, has been debating this positively since Trump's first term. If France extends nuclear deterrence to cover a European defense coalition that includes the UK's independent deterrent, you have a credible nuclear umbrella independent of American commitments. Zelenskyy framed the urgency very bluntly. I'm quoting again, "Security comes first, economy second, not vice versa." That's a direct rejection of the post-Cold War European assumption that economic integration would render military power obsolete. Russia's 2022 invasion shattered that illusion. Trump's abandonment of Ukraine and threats to withdraw from NATO are forcing Europe to build the defensive capability it let atrophy for 3 decades. The EU has a mutual defense clause, by the way, Article 42.5 of the Treaty on European Union, that's technically more binding than NATO's Article 5. It's been derided historically for lacking actual defense capabilities behind it, but if European defense spending continues scaling as it has been, if production capacity builds out, if Ukraine integrates into the defense industrial base, and if Britain, Turkey, and Norway coordinate through coalition structures, even without formal EU membership, that clause acquires operational meaning. What happens next follows visible mechanics, I think. First, if Trump continues withholding military aid and intelligence support from Ukraine while pursuing for a Russia-favorable peace deal, European support becomes Ukraine's only lifeline. That accelerates Ukrainian integration into European, not American, defense and economic structures. Second, the coalition framework allows rapid decision-making without the consensus requirements that paralyze both the EU and NATO. Hungary can't veto. Neutral Ireland doesn't need to participate. Turkey contributes militarily without navigating EU accession politics. The UK remains strategically aligned with continental defense without rejoining the EU politically. Third, if Russia maintains its 2.5 million troop expansion plan through 2030, European conventional forces will need to match that capability. The combined militaries of the UK, Ukraine, Turkey, France, Germany, and Poland can feel that mass, but only if procurement, training, and command structures integrate now rather than waiting for a crisis. Fourth, the American withdrawal creates space for European strategic autonomy that Washington previously blocked. France has pushed for European defense independence for decades. Germany resisted out of transatlantic loyalty. Trump's unreliability removes that constraint now. Mats can now argue that building European capability isn't undermining NATO, it's preparing for NATO's collapse. The piece everyone misses is that this shift is irreversible even if American policy changes. Once Europe builds independent defense production, establishes coalition command structures, extends French nuclear deterrence, and integrates Ukraine's military into European frameworks, those capabilities don't disappear if a future US president offers renewed commitments. Europe will have options that it currently lacks. When Ukraine's president proposes replacing NATO with an expanded EU and European leaders are actively building the institutional machinery to make that exact thing viable, you're watching the architecture of transatlantic security experience terminal failure. Zelensky's proposal isn't aspirational, it's documentation of what's already under construction. For more on how America's economic position is deteriorating alongside its strategic credibility, there's actually an Oxford study showing Americans are twice as poor as Europeans when measured correctly. The video is on your screen right now. Watch it next. Thank you all so much for watching. Subscribe, and I'll see you all on the next one.